Hello, welcome to the Analyst Inside Cricket with me, Simon Hughes. I'm very happy to say that Deep Dasgupta, the former Indian batsman and wicketkeeper and commentator, is with us as well, because breaking news today, Deep, Virat Kohli retiring from Test cricket. Amazing news, really. Were you surprised at the sort of suddenness of the announcement, given that, there's a big series coming up against England in a couple of months' time?
Hmm. Surprised, yes, even though I had a feeling and been hearing rumors, but when it actually happened, when I heard it this morning, I was like, oh, is it official and is it really happening? Because back of your mind, you're still thinking, he's got a few years left in him and things like that from my perspective at least. And then I was like, maybe those are just rumors, maybe it's not going to happen. But then when it became official, it was like a bit of a surprise and a sense of loss when somebody who's been part of the furniture for as long as he has and the impact that he's had over over cricket and world cricket and obviously Indian cricket is just you suddenly feel a sense of loss there.
Mm. Yes, I can imagine that because he's been such a kind of almost more than a player. He's been a brand, hasn't he?
Yeah.
That has totally transformed Indian cricket. I mean,
Mhm.
there are many things have transformed Indian cricket over the last 20 years, but Kohli's been at the forefront of that drive, I suppose, towards
Mhm.
superior fitness and that kind of feisty determination and
Mhm.
will to win as well. I'm not saying that other
Yeah.
Indian cricketers
Yeah.
don't want to win, but there was a sort of almost a warrior-like spirit that he
Mm.
had.
That's true. I mean, very gladiatorial the way he played the game, and more so because uh, we're talking about Test cricket here in this age of T20 cricket. He always preferred and always was a great ambassador of Test match cricket. No matter where he went, every time he spoke about cricket, he always kept emphasizing on the importance of Test match cricket and how important it is for youngsters to look at it seriously. While yes, other formats are important, but the importance of Test match cricket was in the forefront of every time he spoke about it. And you speak about impact, yes, the warrior like and everything else, the fitness bit, but also in terms of you can you can call a fast bowling revolution in the country to a certain extent because when he first became the captain 2014 and onwards, I mean, he realized very quickly that yeah, you every team wins at home, but to win away from home, you need fast bowling units, and especially we call it the Sena countries, which is South Africa, England, New Zealand, and Australia. For to win away in these conditions, you need a battery of fast bowlers, and that's when they started working on. And I think if you look at the success that India's had in the last few years away from home, especially, was on the back of these fast bowlers, whether it was, Ishant, Umesh, obviously Bumrah, then Shami came into the picture as well. Of late, it's been Siraj. So, yeah, I mean, you can see that. I mean, earlier on, when you talk about Indian bowling, it was always about spinners. But then if you talk about Indian bowling in the last, let's say, decade, maybe a little less than a decade, you'll be talking about Indian fast bowlers. So I think that there was this genuine and planned, emphasis on getting fast bowlers and a certain type of fast bowlers who would be successful outside India.
Mm. Yes, I can sort of see that actually. I mean, of course, also apart from his sort of aspiration to be excellent and one of the big four batters in the
Mhm.
world, along with Williamson, Root, and Steve Smith, and at different times they were sort of top of the tree. But also, he's this, as I said before, really, he's this brand. He's got so much influence because of
Mhm.
the sort of modern social media impact that a player like
Mhm.
he has. I mean, often it's mentioned that he has more social media followers than most movie stars, rock stars, baseball,
Yeah,
basketball, American, huge American names.
yeah.
So with that, what 275, 300 million Instagram
Mhm.
followers, there is massive influence there as well, isn't there? Beyond
Mhm.
cricket in a way.
Absolutely, and to be fair, he's been a great role model as well. The way he's conducted. Obviously, you have Virat Kohli on the field, and then you have Virat off the field. I think he communicates exceedingly well. He's truly is a really good role model. I mean, if you look at his lifestyle, which we've already spoken about, his fitness levels and everything else, and he's always mentioned that it's not about being a professional sports person. It's also about just for everyday life as well. So I think his influence that way has been extremely positive on the field, off the field for cricketers, non-cricketers. The way he's conducted himself has been immaculate. So yeah, I mean,
Mm.
more power to him.
And actually, he's brought in, I reckon, a lot of maybe non-cricket type
Yeah.
brands to support the
Mm.
game as well. What about his personality, in the dressing room? Because you see his, obviously, very competitive nature on the field.
Mm.
What's he like behind the scenes?
He's pretty chilled out behind the scenes, to be fair. I mean, every time you speak to him, yeah, it's pretty relaxed, pretty chilled. Talks a lot of sense, talks about other things, not just about cricket. I mean, that's the best part. You can really sit and have a proper conversation about various things. It doesn't always have to be about cricket. He's well read, he's well informed. So I guess yeah, I mean, it's always been a pleasure speaking with him because more often than not, every time you speak off the field, it would not necessarily be about cricket, you
Mm.
know. So that's something that I've always enjoyed and look forward to as well in the future.
The sort of abiding image I had, funnily enough, apart from his batting, was I remember seeing him first. I think it was a one-day international when he was only 19 or 20,
Yeah,
very early days,
yeah.
and he fielded at backward point, and it was in that sort of, I don't know, 2006, 2007, 2008 sort of time when the IPL hadn't really quite caught, well, it hadn't even begun then
Hmm,
actually, and I felt that Indian cricket was still sort of slightly backward in many ways. And
hmm,
I tell you what I noticed about Kohli was the brilliance of his fielding. He was at backward point, age, I don't know, 19, 20, in the under 19s India side
hmm.
previously, and now playing in the full side. And I just thought, wow, this is something new. Someone who is absolutely dynamic
Yeah,
in the field and throwing himself around. And he's still doing it now in the IPL,
yeah,
isn't he? I mean, he's
yeah,
still totally committed at extra cover, even in an IPL
yeah.
game in his late 30s or mid 30s.
Yeah, and you put it in a so nicely because in the subcontinent, not just India, if you look at the subcontinent, it's always been about skill. It has always been about the being technically correct. And uh, and out comes Virat, who I always say he's a self-made genius because if you talk about talent, obviously he's got a lot of talent as a natural talent that he's been given. But then I think he's been able to maximize it. If you ask me, is he the most talented of his generation? I'd say maybe not in terms of natural talent. But then what he's done it really, really well, and why I'd say he's such a good role model or a great role model, is because he's made sure that he maximizes whatever natural gift that he was given and take it to the next level. You mentioned about him being a 19-year-old. I still remember till 2012, I think he got dropped. And one of the reasons he got dropped was because he was getting really good looking 20s and 30s and not converting them. And then quickly you realize for him to convert those things, he's not a boundary hitter, six hitter. His game is very different. His game is about running hard, grafting. And that's when he became and he was committed to fitness. Then he said, you know what? I'm not a guy who's going to get 100 of 90 deliveries. I'm a guy who would get 100 of 120, 125 deliveries. For that, what do I need to do? I need to run harder. I need to convert those ones into twos. I need to stay out there for longer. And that commitment that he's shown since, I mean, it's been so good. And that's what I keep telling youngsters. He's a very, very good, mix of natural talent and a lot of hard work.
Hmm.
Discipline as well. I mean, to add to that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Where do you think he ranks in terms of Indian Test players? It's quite interesting. Jared
Hmm,
Kimber, the journalist
hmm,
and broadcaster,
yeah,
has done a book about the art of batting, and he's ranked all the greatest Test batters from 50 down to one. Some quite
hmm,
interesting exclusions in that list, actually. But in the list, Kohli is actually at 25, And
Hmm.
AB de Villiers is around that number as well. I think he's 24. They're great mates, and they've been great sort of
Yeah.
pals, haven't they, for the RCB and so on.
Hmm.
But then there are three Indians above Kohli in that list, fairly predictably: Rahul Dravid, Sunny Gavaskar, and of course Sachin.
Hmm.
Do you see
Yeah.
that? Is that about right? Would you see that as about right? Kohli is, as I say, 25.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Dravid
quite
and
interesting. I mean, I haven't read Jared's book. It'll be an interesting read, I'm sure. But uh, see, that's a great academic exercise, to be honest. But when it comes to comparing, I really don't want to,
mm,
because different generations, different era, opposition, rules, so much has changed. If you just okay, let's say, uh, let's start with Mr. Gavaskar. I mean, in the 70s, things were so different, right? In fact, first few years of his career, he played on uncovered pitches. So, I mean, can you really compare? I don't know, with somebody who's playing Test cricket now. Yeah, I mean, like I said, as an academic exercise, it'll be quite interesting. Would love to get into it. But honestly, I really don't want to compare. But where he stands in the pantheon, I guess, right up there, his contribution. Again, one of the things that a lot of us we do is we start assessing someone's career based on just numbers. But we've been talking about the kind of impact that he's had. I mean, those are intangibles. You really can't put or quantify them. Uh, so that's where I'm going to leave it. If you just add the tangibles and the intangibles, he's right up there.
are we talking about the end of an era here regarding
Hmm.
Indian Test cricket? Because we've sort of seen Rohit Sharma retire recently, and obviously
Hmm.
now Virat, and before that Ravi Ashwin as well. You know, are we looking at a completely new generation? You know, is this a sort
Mm,
of is this a mark in the sand, a line in the sand
mm.
almost?
Yeah, true, Simon. I was on air during the Border Gavaskar Trophy, and I think it was the third or the fourth test, and we did mention it on air that this is part of the transition period, and it will take a while. And this does happen every, let's say, 10 to 12 years, 13 years, with all teams, all established teams. It does happen, and this is that time. Didn't realize it's going to happen so quickly within 6 months. Ashwin, Rohit, and now Virat. Um, so yeah, I mean, Ishant again happened. Umesh was kind of phased out. Ishant as well. So yeah, I mean, listen, I think this is that kind of a period. You'll have to wait another 6, 8 months to see how this new Indian test side shapes up. No doubt, we've had this over. I mean, whether it's India, England, Australia, we've had this over 70, 80 years. Every time a generation makes way for the next, we're like, oh, you're apprehensive about it. But then we've done all right. We've managed. We've managed to do well, and we're lucky that way that we've always had every generation has only taken the game forward.
I mean, look at the youngsters coming through now in the
Yeah.
IPL, like Vaibhav, obviously the 14-year-old,
Mm.
and Yashasvi Jaiswal looks like a
Yeah.
veteran compared to him. It's amazing, isn't it? Uh, so your pick for the next captain? Have you got a particular preference with India coming to England shortly?
Our preference in the sense, okay, so the big question is, do you look at someone young and kind of take that leap of faith? Because if to be fair, when you're looking at a young captain, last 6, 8 months hasn't been that great in Test match cricket, whether it's Rishabh Pant or Shubman Gill, even though Rishabh, I think, in the last calendar year has been the highest run scorer for India. Shubman has been in great form in terms of obviously a different format. So either you can look that way, or you can look at somebody who's been there and maybe, come in and help this team through this transition period, someone like a KL Rahul. So I think the first major question to be answered is that, and I would rather take a leap of faith and go with a younger captain and say, you know what, this is it, this is your team. Let's look forward and see how things go in the next couple of years, or rather this cycle of WTC. And in that case, an obvious choice, like I said, would be between Shubman and Rishabh. Yeah, and that's a tough one. that's a tough one. Whether it's Shubman, whether it's Rishabh, I know it'll be divided. A lot of people, majority would be looking at Shubman, and I think he's done extremely well in terms of leadership. I know T20 is a different format, but then you can see his leadership skills in this format as well, where he's handled players and he's handled senior players like Joss Butler and all of them, and Siraj and all of these guys. So I think he's done well. Yeah, would be a kind of leaned a little towards Shubman Gill.
Yeah, interesting. Not Shreyas Iyer, who is also. I mean, I listened to his interview the other day,
Hmm.
and he's
Hmm.
obviously
Yeah.
doing well in the IPL. I mean, maybe not so much of an automatic pick in the team
Hmm.
as the other two you mentioned, but he seems quite
Yeah.
impressive. I suppose in the end, you want someone, and I guess I can see Shubman and Rishabh actually conforming to this. You want someone who's quite calm, don't you? And you
Yes.
don't want someone who, in a way, I felt Virat actually sometimes wore his heart on his sleeve too much as a captain, and you could see him with his sort of hands
Yeah.
on his hips and things like that occasionally.
But I
That
think Simon also, when it comes to Virat, I think a lot of it was intentional.
right,
He wanted it that way. Now that obviously it was instinctive as well, but I think a lot of it was also intentional. The way that's how he wanted to play, how he wanted his team to play. So when we talk about any team under Virat, the first thing you say, okay, win or lose, intensity always at the top, was always 100%. You never would fault a Virat Kohli team for lack of intensity. And I think that the way that he played, or he kind of carried himself on the field, was a great reason or behind it. But talking about Shreyas, he again has done fabulously well as a leader. Not just this year, obviously, his track records will suggest so in franchise cricket. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one in terms of picking up. But whoever it is, I would like to see somebody from the next generation, or rather the newer generation, to take over and take this team forward.
we're talking as if the Virat's a sort of obituary, but of course he's still playing in the IPL, and he'll probably still play ODIs, I
ODI,
guess.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and actually, this IPL, which briefly now is paused, and you can give us an update on what the
mm,
expectation of resumption
mm,
is. But
mm,
there's been a few pieces, hasn't there, saying that it's the 18th year of the IPL, and
yeah,
Virat wears number 18. So it's sort of
yeah,
written in the stars that the RCB, who have never won the IPL, are going to do it this year, and they are up
yeah.
the top, aren't they, as well? So what is it going to resume, and could
Yeah.
RCB win it with Kohli?
Uh, okay, first question, will it resume? Yes, definitely. When? Okay, that's something that I guess we still haven't heard as yet, but there are obviously rumors because it's been just deferred for a week. So I won't be surprised looking at the situation right now that it is resumed, uh, let's say within a week's time, because you still have that window, little bit of a window till the end of the month before I'm sure the South African and the Australian players would be called for WTC finals. So you still have, a little bit of elbow room till the end of the month. So I'm sure if it's possible, BCCI will take a call and would do the right thing. If not, maybe around September during that Asia Cup period, there's a window of couple of weeks where I don't think too many international teams are playing at that point in time. I don't think England, Australia, and South Africa are playing for sure. Obviously, India won't be playing. So yeah, I think that is a possible window as well. But I will not be surprised if it starts in a week's time.
And
And then,
if it
sorry,
is, yeah, sorry, well, we can carry on with the RCB
the
prediction in a minute.
RCB thing, yeah,
But if
yeah,
it does resume,
yeah.
will they replay matches that were either suspended or postponed?
I think so. I think the first game which was suspended was the Dharamshala game for technical reasons. I think it might start from that point. That's what I believe, or I think might happen. We'll see how it goes. There is no confirmation as yet, but these are again, assumptions. As far as RCB is concerned, listen, you mentioned about 18, it's 18, and Virat numbers 18 as well. But also RCB is playing brilliantly. I mean, they've been one of the teams to beat right through the season. So, but don't know about Josh Hazelwood. If it starts within a week's time, would Josh be available? He's been such an integral part of the success that RCB's had this season. So there are a few question marks. That Padigals also was replaced because of an injury. So yeah, there are a couple of these questions, but it is possible. There's no two ways about it because even without them, RCB played a couple of games, and they've looked equally good. So I will definitely not be surprised if RCB goes on to win it.
Have players come back to, the overseas players? Have they
Hmm.
gone home and then they'll have to be
Hmm.
dragged back again? What's the story there? Because you're back in
Uh,
England.
yeah, I think most of them are back home. I think the only team which is still practicing are Gujarat Titans. I think they've been requested to. I mean, all the players have been requested to stay back and be part of the team and not leave. I think apart from that, almost everyone has gone back home, and I think they'll reconvene as soon as we hear something from BCCI. But apart from, like I said, Gujarat Titans have been the only team which is still there in Ahmedabad, I believe, practicing and getting ready.
And the atmosphere in India, when you left, was what? Was there a sort of feeling that something was, really brewing up here, and in terms of the sort of the tension between India and
Yeah.
Pakistan? I mean, what's the sort of general feeling on the street?
Well, the general feeling was obviously at that point in time was, I mean, as important as cricket is to every Indian, it wasn't the foremost thing on your mind. So I guess there are obviously more important things when it comes to something like these situations like these. So I think BCI did the right thing to kind of put a put a bit of a halt for a while, for a week, and again reassess because it seems like things are a lot better now. But when we're talking about a couple of days ago, the feeling was very different, the mood was very different. The last thing you would want to talk about or think about is cricket, and so I guess it was only normal and natural to give it a
Mm,
break and then reassess. And I think that time is here now, and we'll get to hear maybe in a day or maybe in a couple of days' time.
mm. Oh, well, we wish you well, and I'm sure it's left a massive hole in the
Mm,
TV viewing, because I mean it's become such a kind of
yeah.
uh, appointment to view, hasn't it? The IPL.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But yeah, we'll hopefully it'll be we'll have a restart soon. Yeah.
Thank you for your time anyway, and hope so
Thanks.
too. Yeah,
Thanks,
great.
Simon.
All right, thanks.
Cheers.
Very good. I'll just stop recording.